Well, Chibnall did say we'd need a drink after this episode, so... I mean, mead may have not been the thing he had in mind, but... it's what I like.
Told you before that everything you knew was a lie. Now you get to face the truth.
Whatever you want with me, fine. But save my friends.
Brace yourself.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty intense. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel where I talk about all the geeky pop culture that I enjoy, and just finished watching the season finale of Doctor Who Series 12. And yeah, it was intense. Definitely intense. Lots of big revelations, and wow. Wow, indeed. Oh, I don't even know where to start in this. Okay, so, The Timeless Children. This is the one that Chris Chibnall said was gonna shake up what we knew about the Doctor, and boy does it do that. If you haven't seen the episode, I'm probably going to get into spoilers pretty early on in this review, so I'd just go away and watch the episode now if I were you. This episode for me had pretty much everything I want out of a season finale. It had big revelations, it had action, it had amazing character moments, some touching sort of some touching stuff from some characters. The only thing it didn't have, spoilers here, no character death, well, okay, possibly a character death, but no companion death, no main cast death. Other than that, it was probably one of the biggest finales we've had in a long time, and I kind of felt like this could have been an anniversary special, with the amount of lore that was added to it, the amount of dealing with shaking up the lore of the programme, with the amount of action in it, with the just everything about it. Kind of felt like it was an anniversary special, which makes me think, if this is what Chibnall is doing just for a season finale of just a random season, what's he going to be doing in 2023? I mean, that's surely going to be big for the 60th anniversary if this is what he's doing on a season finale, just a regular season finale. So there was a lot I liked about this episode. There were some things that, I didn't like, but there were minor quibbles, I think. Nothing particularly big, nothing that majorly distracted from my enjoyment of the episode as a whole. The things I did like, let's talk about the things I did like that aren't, let's come back to the big revelations in a bit. But the other things I did like in this episode, we got some really nice stuff. The last episode ended with the Master coming back. And, then, we know from Spyfall that Jodie and Sasha together on screen as the Doctor and the Master is just dynamite. It is brilliant. They have such good chemistry together, and that is evident here as well. They are so good together, and every scene is just intoxicating in the sort of chemistry they have together. That definitely doesn't go away here. But we also get some nice stuff from some other characters as well. We get some good stuff from Yaz in this episode. We get some nice moments where she takes charge. She sort of has this sort of domineering personality that she puts forward that was really lacking in series 11. But she's been starting to show more and more this season. I still wouldn't say, though, that she's had a massively big arc that we were promised for this series, but we have got more from her, so that's good. And even Ryan, who I felt this season kind of fell into what Yaz was last year, in the kind of that he was just there, didn't really have much to do most episodes. The only episode up until this point where I felt he's really had anything major to contribute to the episode was Orphan 55, ironically the worst episode of the season, but he has, other than that, he's kind of just sort of blended into the background and not really had much to do, either from his character hasn't had many great moments, he hasn't had much to do plot-wise, he's just kind of been there. So it's really nice in this episode that we get to see a few moments of him where he doesn't have any big emotional storyline in this episode. He doesn't have anything really, personal, but he does have some great moments and gets to show some some emotion for once in this season, which we haven't really seen from him since last series, and that's good to see. While we're on the subject of the companions, though, the one of the downsides I thought about this episode, and it was kind of a strange moment, because it was a great scene in itself, but it didn't quite ring true with what we've seen from the characters so far in this series. And that's the moment with Yaz and Graham sitting down when they think, you know, we might not come out of this alive. And Graham's lovely speech to Yaz about how, you know, she's she's really come along, you know, he really admires her, and all that sort of stuff, which was absolutely lovely. It was brilliantly played, and could be really touching scene if you take it in isolation. But I don't think there has been I wouldn't say we've seen enough of that from Yaz, what he's talking about, that it really rings true. We've started to see it in the last few episodes, let's say the back half of this season. We've started to see that a little bit, but we haven't seen it enough to make it feel like we acknowledge what Graham is saying. It kind of feels a bit like we're being told that she's this thing and this great person, but we haven't been shown it. We've been shown hints of it, but we haven't been shown the full extent to what Graham has seen. So that's a bit of a shame. But paradoxically, it came in quite a nice scene. It was a lovely touching moment between them. It just would have been nice to have been shown some of that beforehand. Oh, and I forgot when I was talking about Ryan, that it was a nice callback to his very first scene in Spyfall, where he's playing basketball and not being able to shoot the hoop. Nice little callback there with his scene where he throws the ball-shaped bomb thing at the Cybermen. And, you know, nice little callback to the earlier in the season there. Talking of callbacks, there were a lot of very deep callbacks to previous and even classic Who here. We get references to assassinating people in the this drink has gone to my head already. I can't pronounce words. You know what I mean. In Gallifrey, assassinating presidents. Obviously a reference to the Tom Baker era there. You know, there's lots of really nice stuff like that in this series as well. In this episode, lots of like callbacks to classic Who, callbacks to Russell T Davies era Who, callbacks to all sorts of things, which is another reason why it kind of feels a bit like it should be an anniversary special. Now, I went into this episode wondering how many of the mysteries that they've set up this series they would answer. That was the big thing for me, and whether or not it would succeed or fail. And it's a bit of a mixed bag, because I kind of didn't want them to answer every mystery they've set up, because I thought that would be too much in one episode, and none of them would get the time they deserved if they tried to answer all of them. However, they answered a fair few of them, while also creating new mysteries. So I was actually pleasantly pleased. The one that they didn't answer, that I really felt they should have done, was how does Jack know about the lone Cyberman? How had he come back and left that message for the Doctor, that warning for the Doctor? What was his involvement in the Cyber Wars and all of that, and the Alliance and everything like that? Because without seeing that, without that being a part of this episode, it kind of retroactively cheapens his appearance earlier on in the season, which is a shame, because it was lovely to see him, but it does feel like a bit of just cheap fan service. Throw Jack in to give a MacGuffin warning, and that's it. It would have been lovely to see something a bit more. But we do get some answers to some stuff that the questions that we've been posing throughout this season, mysteries that have come up throughout this season. The most recent mystery, of course, is what the lone Cyberman was doing to those other Cybermen when he was drilling into them. What was he doing? We didn't know that last episode. It appears that he was removing the organic components. The ascension of the Cyberman, in his mind, is removing organic components, which, when they first brought that up, I was like, no, they're just going to be robots. And then the Master said exactly what I was thinking. So I'm quite glad that they had that in there. It was really nice that they kind of had the Master saying what we were probably all thinking. That stops them being Cybermen. They're just robots if you remove the organic part. So I quite like the fact that they had the Master saying that. Now, as for the Master's plan in this, it kind of fits with kind of what craziness the Master comes up with. The Cyber Time Lords feels a little bit fanfiction-y, but then a lot of Doctor Who feels fanfiction-y, and I don't necessarily think that's always a bad thing. It does kind of fit with the Master. I think the design was a bit OTT, but it didn't really detract from the episode for me, even though I thought it was a little bit of a silly idea, and they didn't really do much with it. Other than it being there to increase the threat that sort of provoked the Doctor to feel like she had to do what she had to do in the end. It kind of felt a little bit cheesy, especially with the design with the Time Lord things and stuff in metal. I wasn't too sure about it, but what I will say is that it didn't really detract from anything. It was fine, and it kind of added a little bit of motivation for the Doctor at the end there. So yeah, it was alright. We did get the answer to Brendan, who Brendan was, and it was none of the ones that I put in my theory video, which is done quite well, but I'm imagining now if anybody watches it, I'll just get loads of comments going, no, it wasn't that. What are you talking about? You were crazy. And yes, I got it completely wrong on all 5 of my guesses of who Brendan could be. I kind of like what it ended up being. It was kind of made sense. The big scheme of things mixed in with the revelations of the Doctor and her history. So that was okay. So let's talk about the big revelations of the Doctor's past here. She is the Timeless Child. She is the origin of the Time Lord's ability to regenerate. Amazing. I know one person particularly that's not going to like this, because if you ever watch Council of Geeks talk about Doctor Who, a brilliant YouTube channel, I'm sure you've heard of him, because why would you not have? But he has one thing that I see him mention again and again, is that he does not want the Doctor to be special. He doesn't want them to be like some significant figure at all. You know, just likes them as a roaming person, roaming the universe, trying to do good, and this changes that completely. The Doctor is the origin of the Time Lord's ability to regenerate. That's huge. The Doctor has unknown amount of previous regenerations. That is huge. When Chibnall says this changes everything, he wasn't joking. So yeah, I have a feeling Council of Geeks may not be pleased about this. I don't mind it. I think it's quite exciting. It gives us so many possibilities for future storytelling opportunities that I kind of like it. And the Doctor doesn't remember any of this life. So, you know, it's not going to massively impact on a day-to-day basis what she's going about doing. It just adds this extra mystery. What I think, when people say that the Doctor's history shouldn't be revealed because the mystery is a part of it, I kind of half agree. I think if we never revealed anything new, it would get stale and boring. I think we need that drip feed of new information about revealing bits of the Doctor's past. Every, 5 years or so, we need another nice juicy nugget of previous information we didn't have about the Doctor's past. I like that. What it needs to do, though, is to create more questions, and this does absolutely that. It leaves us with the question of, okay, she's the Timeless Child, this is where regeneration came from, but where did she come from? Where did the Doctor, when she was that little girl found on that planet by Tecteun, that was her name, Tecteun, where did she come from? She came through the barrier, but where from? What? That's a whole new mystery for the Doctor, a whole new mysterious backstory that we don't know. And who knows, 10 years, 20 years time, they may reveal it. But at the moment, we don't know it, and it's a new mystery, and I like it. The one question I had throughout all of that was where was Rassilon? Because he's instrumental in Gallifrey's past. He's been in the new series as well, so it's not like he would be completely alien to a modern audience. I kind of felt like they could have at least mentioned his name somewhere. Was it that Tecteun was meant to regenerate into Rassilon at some point? Is that what they were hinting at? I kind of got the feeling that maybe where they were going, but they didn't outright say it. So maybe they're just leaving their doors open there. I don't know if it necessarily contradicts the fact that Rassilon was the founder of Time Lord Society. In extended lore, it was said that he gave the Time Lords regeneration. So it kind of fits with him being Tecteun. Maybe that was a name he went by before he was Rassilon. So the mysteries, yeah, I'm for it. I like the revelations. I am here for it, definitely. And then after the big revelations, we just got a sort of the wrap up of the plot. One thing I did think was that the lone Cyberman kind of got sidetracked quite quickly. Felt a little bit anticlimactic on the lone Cyberman front, but I liked where the episode itself went in the end, with the Doctor feeling she has reached a point where she has to not only finally kill the Master, and wipe out finally the rest of her species in order to stop them going out into the universe and destroying it, then with their new regenerating Cyberman powers. Generally, the acting there I thought was really good from Jodie. I thought phenomenal acting, really conveyed the sort of emotion that the Doctor was going through at that point. Then, of course, the companions are sent home. They don't know that the Doctor has survived that and gotten away in another TARDIS. They're back home in their TARDIS, which just disguises itself as a house. The Doctor is arrested by the Judoon and put in prison, and that's the cliffhanger. I liked the fact that they did a very, another callback to Russell T Davis's era, when we're going into the festive specials. There was always at the end of the season the what from David Tennant. Well, we got one of those what's in a slightly different form from Jodie here. So that was, a nice little callback as well. But I do wonder, how did the Judoon have the ability to transport inside a TARDIS? That is their technology that good? I mean, are they still working for the Gallifreyans, the ancient Gallifreyans at this point? God, the Judoon timeline is a confusing mess. I've got a video on that. Go watch it. But it does set us up nicely for the Christmas special. So, Christmas, New Year's, whenever it is going to be, but the festive special. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this episode. I thought it was a really good season finale, and so much better than last year's, not even last year's, last series. The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos was not a good season finale. It just wasn't exciting at all. Whereas this episode had everything. So, really enjoyed it. I've had my stiff drink. I hope you have too. And I will, be back for more Doctor Who reviews when it comes back on. But in the meantime, I do other Doctor Who content as well. Various lore videos, lists, and reviews of classic series in my Doctor Who Rebrief series, along with book reviews and all sorts of things. So do, if you're not already, subscribe, hit that bell button, like, all that jazz. And I will see you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.